All right, so you saw me work on the one figure. I've added 2 more since then, and they really are pretty rough. And the reason I wanted to just kind of rough them in is so that you could see some of the refinement. So if you're working with a human or animal figure, and I did bring over a couple. I've got a little cat here with bug eyes, apparently, and a bunny that is maybe has had too much Easter chocolate. But if you're working with human or animal shapes and you want them to look a particular way, what I recommend is that you do them kind of roughly, right? I've got legs, I've got arms, I've got knees and feet. I don't yet have hands. I have a head, but if I turn it to this way, I've got some proportion problems, right? Splitting I just kind of dragged the arms over, but I can use this tool or a tool like it, like a knife or whatever, to get in and separate some of those features. Get in and let's see, how can you see? There we go. Get in and get some definition in the knee, so the knee doesn't seem to just be a curve in the back. You can also carve, some of the clay away this way. Eventually, I can use the end of the knife to do things like toes or fingers. Can you see that if I back it up? So I'm going to just use this to kind of slice in some little toes. If I'm going to take my time, I'm going to go in and I'm going to really shape each toe. And I'm probably going to want to flatten that a little bit because that part of the foot is flatter. I might want to get in and actually do some shaping of things like ankles and things like that. But that's a little bit farther along. That's more detail than I need right now. What I do probably need to get right now is the shoulders. I got some back problems happening here, and one of those is adding some clay where I've got some thickness. My recommendation, besides starting it kind of rough and then working your way to more detail, is you need to look at what you're sculpting if you want it to look like the thing. So when you are sculpting a person, it's a good idea to have a person handy. If you don't have a person in your house while you're working, photographs will work great. In fact, at the very start of the quarter, you might have seen I've got a whole wall of pictures of screaming faces next to me because I was trying to sculpt screaming faces. And so what do they look like? Well, it's helpful to have some pictures. So I've added in some shoulder here and some back. I'm going to get my neck a little skinnier here, but then heads are not just balls, right? They're not just even like that. So I'm going to get in and add some more clay in the front bottom where the chin is, because the chin needs to stick out a little bit. And then I need some more head in the back too, because our heads are kind of rounded in the back up at the top. And so working with fairly wet clay, and if you need to, you can take the head off. In fact, I'm going to do that so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I'm not usually doing this for a camera, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But now I can start to shape. I'm going to try to leave the neck more or less alone. But the forehead is a bit more rounded. The back of the head is a bit more rounded. I've got that chin coming forward. I haven't added any facial features yet, but maybe I want to get in and get a little bit more jawline happening here. And now I can start to just kind of rough in where the eyes are going to go. Looks like my tool is broken. I'm just going to make for a particular sort of face, I guess, sort of eye. And then I'm going to rough in where the mouth is going to go there as well. Now, I've got to add a little bit of clay, get it up there to get the nose. One of the things you don't know before you try to do this all for a pandemic is how difficult it is to look at what you're working on and make sure the camera is showing you what you're actually trying to show. Yep, because I keep sneaking over there to the corner of the picture for some reason. All right, so now I've got that face roughed in. It is fairly rough right now. It doesn't look just like a face, but it's recognizable, right? And I'm starting to get the whole shape of the head. Now, I'm gonna put this back on the body, so I'm gonna do a little scoring and slipping. Scoring, and then I'm gonna add some slip. And then I'm going to put those two together. Now what I've discovered is my neck is kind of cranked down. So I might want to bring that back a little bit because for some reason he's looking way down. my little figure person here is looking down. And so now he's looking a little bit better. His or her arms are still needing some work, but the same sort of thing. I can work on them individually, or I can work on them as a whole group here. I need a little bit more shoulder. I'm still a little weak in what I have there. So I'm going to add some more clay again. And the nice thing of working with clay, as you've all been learning this quarter, is you can always add more clay. You can always take clay away, at least until it's dry. So there's a lot of refining you can do. I have not been adding water, and that's because my clay is fairly wet. I'm not drying it out a lot as I work with it, but you know, if you need to add some water, you are welcome to. Just beware as you add that water, you're gonna change the consistency of the clay, and so make sure you're changing it how you want it to be changed. So I'm gonna keep working on the hand here a little bit. And unfortunately, I have to get down here. Hopefully you can still see. I'm going to split the thumb and then kind of reshape what's left of the hand. And then I'm going to split, oops. Well, I'm going to try to not split those fingers apart from each other. Jeez. Looks like I might need a sharper knife. So I'm going to grab an actual paring knife. And I'm going to try this again. All right, now I've got many of the digits that I wanted. And then I can shape this into a palm is going to be stronger than if I split it into, fingers like this are more likely to break. Fingers like this are less likely to break. Fingers like this would be even stronger because they're kind of together. All the parts of the hand are holding themselves together. And then I'm going to work a little bit on the elbow. But all of this sort of stuff, and you can see how this arm already looks a lot more like arms are supposed to look than this clubby one over here does. So what I want to do with these figures next, I might do a little refining, but the goal of this project is to create installation. So I might not need to do a ton more refining before I put them on in my installation. So I'm going to do just a little bit more cleanup, maybe add some faces onto these two, and then I'll record another video for the rest.